Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Deconversion Stories for the second time, because apparently I went live with the after party first. Yeah, which is, I've never done that before, so that's a first. Anyways, welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yeah, this one's been a little while coming now, and I'm excited to have you here, and we're going to have a good time, and we're going to do the after party afterwards. So there's a link to that below, guys. There's also a link to everywhere where you can find Sarah. Like she's also a member of the atheist community of Polk County, and I think I also put a Florida Freethinkers link down there as well. Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff that you guys can investigate, plus her Twitter and Facebook, and et cetera, et cetera.
I got to start out with a really funny story. So back when I was like, I don't know, 19 or 20, I worked in talk radio, and I produced the morning show. We were the #1 morning show in the Central Illinois market.
Nice.
And so our show ran 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., but I would have to come in at 5 to like run some other local BS that, the hour before and get stuff prepped for the show or whatever. But I was a dumb, like 19, 20-year-old kid, and I did not wake up early. So there were many, many mornings that I was like driving to the station as fast as my little Jeep Wrangler could go with dead air in the background, just going shit. The program director is going to kill me. So being late to the show is kind of my thing.
Awesome. I have a jar too that I drink out of, but it's shaped like a skull.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it originally came with hot sauce in it, like this. Okay. It was a lot like Frank's, but notch it up by like 10.
Nice.
Like it had a similar flavor to Frank's Red Hot. So. And this one was actually red hot. And it's pretty good, and it lasted a while. And I left it at my buddy's place downstairs the other day because we were drinking rum and cokes out of the thing. So
that's what I'm drinking, rum and coke.
Well, there you go. I've got beer as usual because I'm kind of a beer guy. But
awesome.
But however, I'll be upcoming. I think it's the 11th of June. I'm going to be on. I don't know if you're familiar with the Tart guys, or now they're called Tang. The Atheist, what the hell does Tang stand for? Tang. Well, we know what the slang one is, but anyway, yeah, I'm going to be on there with Dave Warnock, and
I love
and
Dave.
Oz. Yeah, Dave's great, and we're going to be doing cigars and scotch. So it's going to be quite the afternoon for that one when that comes
awesome.
up.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, yeah, that was a funny little story you got there as well, by the way. What I do here is I chat to people about their deconversion stories, their journeys away from whatever faith systems they're a part of. And I generally ask to, start from, as far back as you can remember, being involved in whatever church or whatever, belief system you were in, and take us on that journey of how those dominoes started falling and you find your way out.
Yeah. So I'm from a very, very small town in Illinois. We're talking like 1,400 people. I had a high school graduating class of 32. So the kids that I went to kindergarten with are the same 32 kids that all graduated together. So like, I mean, real small town. There were no stoplights, right? But like 9 churches.
Of course.
And so everybody went to church, and I like to say it's like corn, soybeans, and white people as far as the eye can see. So that's the kind of place. So being trans in the rural Midwest is another component to all of this too. But
right.
So my family went to church, and we went to a sort of like vanilla First Christian church, and nothing real out of the ordinary. Pretty basic, go to church on Sunday mornings kind of thing.
Dress up and stuff like that. You put your Sunday best on.
Sunday best. Yeah. But I guess we were Calvinist. I didn't know what any of this meant at the time either. So it really doesn't matter anymore. I'm still good regardless. I'm one of the chosen.
Southern Illinois or
Central Illinois.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah, look up Bethany, Illinois, little small podunk town. Decatur, Illinois is the next nearest like city, and we had to drive like 45 minutes to get to Decatur, and that's where like if you needed to go shopping at a real proper store, you had to go to Decatur. And Decatur was an old like blue collar town We had Archer Daniels Midland, Staley, Caterpillar plant, Firestone. There was a I don't know, 2 or 3 decades ago now, there was this news story that broke that all these Firestone tires that were exploding, that was our plant that made those. So
Nice.
I mean, you just imagine like this kind of place, right? And so everybody went to church, and they were all sort of, one variant of Protestant or another. We didn't really have a Catholic presence. There weren't any like, crazy over the cliff Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses. It was your Methodist, Baptist, First Christian, Presbyterian sort of mix, right?
Right.
And there was a point where I saw myself on the path to like getting into the clergy, and
wow.
I was at one point I was probably in my early teens, like writing sermons and giving talks at church, a couple of those that I did. So yeah, like I was in it, I guess is the point. Like, I started a Bible study group at my school. We met during lunch, in the biology lab, of all odd places for the Bible club to meet.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I think like that was probably some of like the early vestiges of my becoming an activist. I think about like the research that went into, what the law says about whether you can have a Bible club at school, and how, what the school must do if they allow a non-Christian group to have space to meet, then they have to allow your Christian club too. And
of course,
so, I was into all of that stuff. I had it all figured out. And so we were doing a little Bible study. And when I got out of school and moved out on my own, I started going to a Church of God for a girl that I was seeing at the time. And as it's always a girl. And this was anybody that's been to any kind of interesting church will know this and not think anything of it. But like, for little small town, cornbread me, this was culture shock. Like, my church was sit quietly and wait till it's time to stand up and sing. And then this place is like hands in the air, shout when the Spirit moves you, like
great,
feel the Spirit kind of place. And
right.
And I did, man. I bought into it. I bought into all of it. And I, looking back now, like I look at the psychology behind a lot of that stuff, and I think, wow, yeah, they got me. They really got me. So I was going to this Church of God, and I was playing in the praise band. I play guitar, and the youth pastor pulled me aside after, a couple months of this and says, "Hey, listen, if we're going to have you be up on the stage, it's really representing, the congregation and the church. And so we just want to make sure that like the people we put up there are, really living the right life and, doing all the right things, that you're right with God and all of this stuff."
Right.
Yeah. So you can see where that's going. And he said, let's do, I'd like to do Bible study together. And I said, okay, again, like I could still see seminary in my future. Like I'm in it. Let's do this. Great. And so he sat me down and we met weekly. And between meetings, I would have to read, whatever section of the Bible and write down the truths and the promises, which are all basically just claims being made in the Bible.
Yes.
So I did, and I wish I still had like those notes and stuff. But in my angry atheist fit of rage, I threw out like all my old, Bibles and all of that stuff. But I'd love to look back at those notes now and see like what crazy stuff I thought I was writing down that I thought was the truth.
This is why
Uh,
we don't throw away stuff like that. So you can
I
always
know, I
reflect back
know.
then.
I wish I'd have kept it. That was it. Like the more I read, the less I believed. And it just got to a point where I just felt like I didn't fit there. Like something just wasn't right. Like I wasn't, um, like, oh, you built up this whole thing about like who I'm supposed to be if I'm going to play guitar on the stage at your church or whatever. And, and I don't feel like I'm that at all. And so in classic Sarah fashion, I just quit going. I did that. I tried to go to college 3 different times, and 2 of those 3 times I just quit going because it just got to that point. But that's another story. And so I just stopped going. And then they played the love bomb game where they would call me hey, this is Bamba. I'm really sorry we didn't see you on Sunday. Hope everything's okay. Give us a call if you need anything. We're really worried about you. Want to make sure you're okay. And sure hope we see you this next Sunday, that kind of stuff. And that just pushed me further away. So I quit going and I stopped answering calls. And that was the last church that I ever attended regularly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when you were saying that, Buddy was talking to you about, being up on a stage or a podium or whatever, and representing the church, was was he referencing your transness in that, or
no? So the interesting part of the story, I think, maybe it's interesting, is that those 2 things are very like they run the parallel track, and never the 2 shall meet. So the trans thing is a parallel story and journey that really like ran separately from, and maybe I just haven't been to enough therapy yet to figure out how they connect. But everybody should be in therapy all the time. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
So I started feeling different when I was like in going through puberty, and it was like prior to that I grew up what you might think of like a stereotypical boy childhood. Like we lived in a log cabin out in the middle of nowhere the first 7 years of my life, and so I rode 3-wheelers, and we went fishing and tromping around in the cornfields and out in the timber out back, and yeah, totally like what you would think G.I. Joe's and He-Man's boy childhood. Which just tells you how stupid stereotypes are. But
yeah.
But so then like during puberty I was like, wow, something doesn't seem right. And I didn't feel like something doesn't seem right as in like, wow, puberty's just weird and everybody's going through this crazy thing. It was like something's wrong with me. I'm not developing the way I'm supposed to. This just doesn't feel right. And of course, back then I didn't have the language for it. There wasn't, transgender wasn't a word, right? We were jokes on the Jerry Springer show. I didn't know my wife was a man, kind of nonsense.
Right.
So I didn't have role models. I didn't have, and then you're in a crazy small town cornfield, and there's no resources. So I explored this the only way that I knew how, which was like to go to my mom and sister's clothes and like wear them, just to try to get like that pervasive question in my mind of like, what would it feel like to be a girl? Why am I not a girl? Like, dear God, could I just wake up tomorrow and be a girl? Oddly, never did ask God for that one. It was just, a feeling that I had. So that's how I accessed it. Like I just, I would, borrow clothes from my mom and sisters, and then I would get caught inevitably several times because I wasn't smart about it. I didn't hide things well. I was a dumb teenage kid. And so eventually my mom and dad took me to therapy. And while I highly advocate for therapy, I also advocate for like shop therapists and get a right fit. This guy had no clue. Or if he did, he wasn't good at like digging it out of, a teenage kid. I remember our sessions being like, he would just keep asking, why do you keep taking your mom's bras? And I would just say over and over and over again, I don't know. I don't know. And and part of it is because like I didn't know. Like I just knew it felt good. But also I wasn't going to say that because I knew that was the wrong answer.
Sure. Well, according to them, yeah.
Right. Right. So I learned like very quickly to like hide this and put it all in a literally put it all in a box. And so I had like a trunk, like a case of clothes that I would wear around the house and live like this double life. And so I would go to church and that person, like these were just two completely different people existing in the same body. And I would pack Sarah away and go be the dude that I was supposed to be anywhere else that I needed to go.
Right.
And then the only time that I could ever like access that and explore like who are you really was at home with the curtains all pulled real tight and the lights off because God forbid somebody comes by to visit. Yeah. So the church family didn't know anything about the trans issues that I was going through.
Right.
Yeah.
Does any of your family know about this now, or
they do?
I guess they probably do, considering you were stealing their clothes.
Yeah. It was so funny. My mom, so I went to therapy and this was 6 years ago now, something like that. And so I went to therapy. There's a therapist in Orlando, like this is what they specialize in.
Okay, cool.
And so like I walked in and the lady within the very first session was like, you are like textbook gender dysphoria. Right. When would you like to start your transition, assuming that's what you want to do? And I was like, 15 years ago, please. Is that a thing can we get in the DeLorean and go back?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Just right up front and hop in the DeLorean.
Yeah.
Get up to 88 and away we go.
Please. So I came out of that like on a high and really excited. Like, I finally figured out this is the thing. And like, and I had figured it out on my own, but to have, a mental health professional say in like those clear of terms, like, yep, you have checked all the boxes. That helped a lot. And so
cool.
At this point, like we're jumping around a little bit. So I was married before, and my first wife in the before times.
Yeah.
And she was not very supportive of my my identity. Okay. And supportive in the point of like it was okay, but like you're not going to go outside like that, right?
Oh, fuck. That's not support.
Yeah. No, it's not. So that's when we moved to Florida. And then that relationship dissolved and I got into the marriage that I'm in now. And my wife now is just next to our children, probably like the biggest supporter I have. Embraced this very, very quickly, easily, right away. Like, oh yeah, cool. But that's where we pick back up at therapy. So I come home and I tell my wife, Becca, I'm like all of this appointment, like I'm just oozing excitement because holy crap, we finally figured it out. And like, there's a roadmap, like there's a plan, like she's going to write the referral for me to go to the doctor, to an endocrinologist and start hormone treatments. And like, it's concrete. Like I can see it now. It's in front of me. We're doing this thing. And there was like 24 hours of just silence. She just did not say a word.
Your wife?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh. And then like it came out, she was like, well, she had some questions, but the main thing was like, I want to have another baby first. And I was like, all right, let's go. Like, we can start right now if you like.
I'm already undoing my pants. Let's get at her.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like that. And not long after did we have our second child. So we went back to therapy together, and again, in the course of like one session, she got all of her questions and concerns out and able to sort of talk about, and it was things like, I'm not attracted to girls. Like, women aren't my thing. I didn't sign up to be in a relationship with a woman. How's this going to work out for me? And the therapist, she was really great. And she explained that, like, look, things are going to change, right? Appearances are going to change. The way people in the world perceive you as a couple and you individually, that stuff's going to change. Emotions on hormones are definitely going to change. But like the core of who that person is, the things that you fell in love with to start with about that person, that stuff usually doesn't change. Like that, so that the person is still there. So like, did you fall in love with the penis or did you fall in love with the person? And it was the person.
Yeah, you would expect that.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. I can't say you could expect anything, but you would hope that was what it.
Yeah. So then from that moment on, she was like, "Yep, I get it. Let's go. Let's have another baby first." But like, I am behind you all the way, and and has been ever since. Yeah. Awesome. So my family, the question you asked. So then I had to call and talk to all of my family. So I have my parents and one sister are still in Illinois. And I have two sisters. They're 11 and 12 years older than I am. So there's like a big gap between us.
Right.
And they basically raised me, So
Sarah's on the ball.
I got it. So, and then the other sister lives in Texas with her preacher husband.
Oh boy.
Yep. So I started making the rounds on the phone, and my mother's reaction was like, okay, that answers a lot of things from, your youth that had been unanswered up until this point. Like, okay, that now things make more sense about why you were stealing clothes and that kind of stuff, like what you were going through then. Now I get it. Like, I get it now. Yeah. And then my dad's biggest concern was, and he's an old factory guy. How are you going to keep a job?
Oh yeah, that's a total dad thing.
Yep. How are you going to keep a job if you transition and he wouldn't say it in all of these words other than just mom saying your father says he's concerned that you won't be able to keep a job because men don't have feelings and we don't talk to each other. That's how that went. So mom had to relay his feelings, and it was very like practical. How are you going to keep a job? And I'm assuming like I think of like his career history. Back, that generation, you got out of high school and you went to work at a factory and you retired from the factory many years later.
Gold watch and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And lots of, big, tough doodly dudes in that sort of industry. And so what's a freak like you going to do in the world? How are you going to manage that? Now I'm gainfully employed and had absolutely no problems like transitioning at work, and any of that stuff was, no big deal. But then my sisters, so my oldest sister said, "You'll always be my brother and I'll always love you," which is kind of a half supportive, because I'm not always going to be your brother. Like,
that's right.
But all right, I take the sentiment. I get what you're saying. And the other sister, the preacher's wife sister, said, well, this is just not something that we believe in, and we're just going to have to agree to disagree.
Fuck.
Well, that's not a thing. Like,
It's not a belief,
no.
asshat.
Right. Well, I won in the end because several months later, that sister called me up and said, "Hey, so I have some questions for you." And I'm like, "All right, shoot." So there's this kid at our church, and they were actually like moving away. And the kid is trans, and she was trying to figure out like, how can I help? How can I be supportive to this kid? Like, what can I do? And I was like, "Oh, you came around. Yay. Like, yes,
Great.
Good for you." Like, despite the religious beliefs associated with it, you overcame that and did the right thing and became the good person in the end.
Yeah, which is good because that doesn't happen often. I mean,
Yeah,
as often as it should. Yes, I don't want to should people, but
No, I think you're right though. Like, well, and because of that sort of prevailing story, like, I mean, God, how many news stories do you read about like kids getting kicked out of their homes and that sort of thing? Like, I prepared myself mentally to lose everyone. Like, I was at a point where I thought, this is who I have to be. This is who I am. And this is what I have to do to be who I am. So I'm going to do it. And if I lose everyone in the process, I've got to be okay with that on some kind of level. And how I got there was like, my wife and my kids that's my family. Like, if I think of what my future is, right? The time that I have left here on this earth is more with my wife and kids than with anyone. I'm hoping, right? Assuming all good things. And not that I don't love you, and not that I didn't have a nice childhood and that I don't value those relationships and whatever. But like, if you're going to choose, hey, I can't support you because I don't believe in this trans thing. Well, it's been real, and I'm gonna go be with the family that loves me now, and that's just kind of how I had to make it okay in my mind, leading up to before I even called anybody. Like, I had played out all of these scenarios about like, what if it goes down this way? How am I gonna respond? What are we?
It's a good idea actually to do that.
Yeah. So the family has generally come around. I do not go home. Except for weddings and funerals, and there's another wedding coming up this year in a couple months, so that's always fun and awkward. But yeah,
but you know what? You strike me as a person that can handle that with a professional attitude. So
no worries.
You'll go down there and you'll let everyone know what's what.
Right. No, what I'll do is I will kill him with kindness and not cause any scenes and not, like, that's not our family anyway. I'll go. And the person who's getting married supports me and invited me, right? Like, she called and said, "Hey, I want to know, just, out of love and respect, how do you want me to address you on the invitations?" So like, I know I'm welcomed by the people that matter, and that's the people getting married, and everybody else can screw off because I'm going for her. It's her day. It's her thing. Like, so that's what I'm going for.
Right. Which is, that's awesome. So did you tell them how to address you?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And she just wasn't sure, like, pronouns. Is it Mrs. and Mrs.? Like, how should I write this? Yeah. And she's a sweet young thing that doesn't know any better, but the fact that
it's still kind of cute though. Like, what do I do?
The fact that she, like, took the time to ask.
To actually stop and think about it. And,
yeah. Like, I want to think about how Sarah feels, and I want to be respectful. Yeah, that's awesome.
And yeah, I wish more people would be like that too, and not just say, "Oh, fuck your pronouns." Like, what? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, dick, get out of here. Fucking, like, what's wrong with you? Is it that hard?
There was a thing that hit our local news during the Secular Week of Action. We stirred up the hornet's nest, and in some comments, I commented something on a post and of our local newspaper, and someone came back and said, "Pronouns in bio, your opinion is disregarded," or something like that. And I just thought, if you are determining whether or not someone is worth listening to based on whether or not they have their pronouns in their bio, like, really? Okay, this is the problem.
Like, must suck for you.
Yeah. There are better criteria upon which to judge a person's intelligence or knowledge of the subject at hand or abilities.
Judge them in general.
Period.
Like there's a lot more things out there we could be fucking worried about rather than whether or not somebody puts their fucking pronouns.
Yeah, it's so stupid. But you also have to understand, like, Polk County is a lot like where I grew up. There's a lot. It's the fourth or fifth largest county in the state of Florida, depending on whether you count the water. A lot of lakes down here, and it's a lot of like rural, small town, country area. Very red on the political map. Yeah. And just like home, like very much just like home. So that's what we're up against down here, which is great, being a trans person and an atheist in rural Redneckville.
I have no idea what this means. It just randomly showed up in the chat here. What the fuck is Omnibar? Your end day. I turned to Mecca.
Oh my gosh.
Turn Mecca to dust.
Should we get the prayer rugs out now? I'm not sure what to do next.
And then they spell shalom with two L's.
Yeah. Shalom.
Shalom.
Is how that's pronounced.
Is that like Gollum's brother from fucking Lord of the Rings? Or,
yes.
I don't understand. Man, these religious people are just nuts, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them. Some of them. I know many that are very, very nice people. But.
Yes. Yeah.
And Susan's like, "Oh, that dude did that in our chat last night. Just ignore." I've seen him pop in before too. I'm assuming it's a him, but I shouldn't really do that. I've seen them pop into our chat before,
right?
And post shit before, and I'm just like, whatever. Yes, that's what happened. B was in the chat as well, and she put him in a timeout, and he just disappeared after that.
Nice. That's how you do it.
I had to do that a couple of times because I'm often moderating for Talk Heathen and Atheist Experience, and now Eric and V's new secular or skeptic generation show. I was in the fucking queue too, and then they brought the show to an end, and I'm like, no.
Oh, no.
And V messaged me. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "Nah, fuck, whatever. You guys had you did your thing, and
not
I'll call next week." And she's like, "Yeah, okay, cool." So yeah, I'm gonna call them up next week and pretend to be like some crazy, like I'm just waiting for Xenu to show up, and I don't know, something like that. Just have some fun with them.
That's great.
Oh, they're great folks. So I've met Eric in person. I've never met V yet, except I hosted Talk Heathen with her one time. But I've met Eric when I was down for Faithless Forum a couple of years back before the fucking plague hit, and then and I was scheduled to be on the panel too for the following year, which is still going to happen when it happens again. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And Eric was a great guy, fun to hang out with. Actually, they're all fun to hang out with down there.
Yeah,
all of us hanging out over at Dillahunty's house.
Right.
I'm like, I'm actually in Matt Dillahunty's house. Like, what the fuck? And then me and Genetically Modified Skeptic singing and playing guitars and stuff. It was great. Yes. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're right, Susan. V does use the them pronouns. You're right.
That's correct. That's right.
Yeah.
Did I say she?
I
I may
remember.
have.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I may have. And if that's the case, then I apologize, V, if you ever see this. I'm an old school guy, right? I'm like 54 years old. So sometimes it can take a little bit longer for me to sort of sort things out appropriately because my brain just automatically goes to certain things. But I'm getting much better at it. That's for sure. I used to be much worse at this. But it was never intentional or meant to be.
Right.
Bad or anything. I never mean any ill intent by it all. And of course, they know that. But once in a while, I might slip up and
I think that's a big like misconception or misinformation that's out there, is that like that idea that like, oh, if you use the wrong pronoun, that I'm just going to go ballistic on you and like cancel you and whatever. Like, no.
Well,
if you're in good, if I know that you are, using good intent, and it was just, you slipped up and you recognized it, and we can, have a conversation about it, or
sure.
Or that, you acknowledge that, oops, sorry, fucked up. Not she, they.
Right.
Okay, we good. Like this idea that like the pronoun police are coming around to, like, come on, that's not real life. Now, once you got to start doing better, right? You have to make an effort. And as long as there is an effort being made, then we're good.
I'm not too worried about people like freaking out on me over it. It's more about how they're feeling when something like that happens to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want them to suddenly go into like this sort of like, oh my God, will anyone ever get this? I don't want them to hit that sort of, not really a depression, but be a little bit down about it. And I never want to have that happen to somebody that I'm having a conversation with. So I try my best, and I'm a human being and I fuck up.
Yep. As we all.
But I will bow at your feet if I screw up too badly. I'm sorry. Beer? Beer makes everything better.
Yeah, I get that a lot at work. I have to take calls a lot. So I'm talking to like contractors, so the electrician and the plumber and the alarm systems guys and all of that. And I never felt right trying to like do voice coaching or whatever to try to quote unquote make my voice more feminine. Like, this is the voice the good Lord gave me, and so that's what y'all gonna get. Because it felt one, like I'm lazy. It felt like a ton of work trying to like alter my voice.
I thought the hormone pills can help do that a little.
Not for, well, this is a choose your own adventure, sort of flip the page back and forth. So because I transitioned at like 35, I got what I got. And so that won't change my voice. If you transition before puberty and
that's
block
what I heard.
Block the hormones from male puberty, then you're better off. Or if you're a trans man and you're transitioning from assigned female at birth to male,
like my friend Adam,
it will deepen your going on testosterone will deepen your voice.
Yes.
So
it's weird how it doesn't work the other way, but I guess
sucks how it doesn't work the other way. But this is like, you get what you get. I'm not, so I get sirred on a lot on the phone, and some of it is like we also have a security company that we work with, and there's also like a cultural thing of the demographic of people that I work with, where sir and ma'am is a very like customary, the polite thing to say to people. Sure. And so they associate deep voice and say sir a lot, but I don't know, that stuff. I've got my my anxiety and depression pills. I'm good. Doesn't bother me too much.
Well, that's good. Man, I don't know what it is, but I've had a frog in my throat all day. What I was going to say is you could, because you kind of do have the more deeper voice, I guess you could just put on a little bit more of a southern sexy drawl or something when you're talking to people. No, I'm just acting like an idiot.
When I do that, it really comes across as offensive, I think, to Southern folks.
Really?
I don't know.
I doubt it. I think well, I don't know. It depends on how good you are at it. They might go, "You're just faking it here." You know,
Right.
Are you making fun of me?
We all don't sound like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I've watched that Swamp People show a few times.
Right.
There's so many gators out here.
Duck Dynasty.
Oh, fuck. Don't even. I thought it was kind of a fun show when I first saw it. And then all of a sudden, what's his name? Robertson guy.
Yeah, Phil.
Starts going all fucking Jesus on me. And I'm like, whoop, change the channel. I don't need this shit.
Yeah, he went real crazy real fast.
Yeah. Oh, it's time to drink. Well, I think maybe we got enough time still. We still got like a little under 19 minutes. I think we should drag Mikey in here.
Okay.
That's not Mikey. That's pronoun sheriff. You were talking about the pronoun cop. This right here is my jurisdiction. I need a belt buckle. I need a big honking.
Yeah, you do a big one. Yeah.
Size of a dinner plate. No. A literal dinner plate. That is my belt buckle that I can tuck my thumbs behind and you've been misgendering around these parts.
Oh, I love it.
I want fucking Tom Savini's belt buckle from Dusk Till Dawn. He's the guy that leans back and he's got the gun with the two turrets underneath it, so it looks like a dick and balls that pops out. It's the best thing ever. And if you guys don't know who Tom Savini is, if you've ever seen most of the horror movies of zombies and stuff from like Dawn of the Dead and stuff like that, he's the guy that does all the makeup and stuff like that. He's the effects guy.
Okay.
Tom Savini. Yeah. I was right into that shit when I was younger. So
So you touched on it a little bit, Sarah, but like I live in Chicagoland. I'm in like southwest suburbs.
Okay.
So Decatur, I know. Kankakee, I know. Milford, Watseka, I know. And so when you said you're from a town like that, what kind of country fun did you used to get into? You said a little bit about like the three-wheelers and stuff like that, but
which I was like, yes, because I had one too.
I know that there had to be cricks and crawdads and all kinds of adventures.
Oh yeah.
Well, now I'm hungry.
Let's see. I'm gonna figure out if I can tell you this story or not.
Anything goes on this channel.
Well, I have a good reputation to maintain.
Oh,
no one's going to watch this that you need to be concerned about.
Do you know where you are, Sarah?
Yes.
This is most Isley of YouTube.
Oh, that's great.
Biggest scum and villainy.
You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
There you go.
Wretched hide.
Alec Guinness, the goat.
Yeah.
Best accent.
So I had a pet turkey growing up.
What?
Nice.
All right.
So until Thanksgiving.
The turkey's name was Job, like the biblical. All right. Now see if you know the story of Job, see if you can find the parallels.
Poor Job. He probably had one toe.
This turkey, this turkey was like my best friend. I mean, we had, an old English sheepdog that we had to shear off every summer, big fluffy, big enough I could ride it. It was the first 7 years of my life, right? So this was probably, I was like, I don't know, 4. But we had like chickens and rabbits and goats and a horse and like you name it, right? So this and a turkey named Job, and so this turkey would follow me around like a dog, like it was my pet. And down the end of our road, the road ended in a creek about half a mile, and the road used to go all the way through, but there was a post-war Corps of Engineers project to build a dam in this nearby lake to create a recreational lake. So they built this dam, flooded it out. They let all the source streams flood out, and they flooded out this road. And they thought, well, screw building a bridge, we'll just leave it, right? So it's really cool. You could go down there and look across the creek and see the other side of where the road came out.
Right.
So anyway, we would walk
for the people from Atlantis. That's what that is.
Yeah, right.
For Jim Bob and his hovercraft, he loves that street.
We would walk down to the creek all the time, and they just screw around like kids do. And the turkey would just follow me everywhere I went. And so one day we were out at the grapevine, eating grapes, and I learned a very, very valuable lesson about sharing. Because I wasn't.
Oh! Did you hear it through the grapevine? I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Yeah, I know. I'll show myself out.
And I was eating grapes, and I was not sharing grapes. And this turkey, I mean, snapped. And I'm traumatized by this, guys. I was wearing my favorite Mickey Mouse T-shirt. And this turkey went batshit crazy on me and just pecked and tore the hell out of my favorite shirt. And I'm sure I cried and cried and cried and cried. And then my parents killed that turkey and we ate him.
Awesome. I like a story that ends in a great turkey meal.
I mean, to be fair, who would have ever thought, turkeys love grapes?
Right?
Especially at age 7. I wouldn't have thought that the turkey wanted some damn grapes. Get your ass over here and eat some grapes.
Right?
I like grapes.
You're a turkey, Neil, but not.
I was just going to say, people call me turkey all the time.
That's hilarious.
So that's the kind of fun stuff we did. Yes. Yes, love it.
I have the best fucking chat ever.
That's so good. Well played.
That was so fast.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Job, you're dead, aren't you?
Right. Oh, back from the grave.
The chat's coming from inside the house, Neil.
But Sarah, before we wrap things up and get into the after party, tell us a little bit about the atheist community of Polk County.
Yeah. So the Atheist Community of Polk County is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. In 2019,
sounds familiar.
There you go. Yep. In 2019, my wife and I started going to some like local community things at the Central Florida Free Thought Community, and they're in like northwest Orlando, which is like an hour drive from here. But it's David and Jocelyn and their crew. They put on Free Flow every year, which is the Free Thought Florida Conference. Every other year, excuse me. And then in between,
that's cool.
And then in between, we're working on the next one. I'm emceeing it, so be there.
You're gonna come down for one of those.
You do. It was a blast last time, and so they do that, and then on the off years they do a Free Thought cruise, which is a blast. So anyway, they were bringing in like Seth Andrews and Dillahunty and like good people to their monthly speaker series meetings. So we started going to some of those, and then the problem is that, again, like it's an hour drive for us, and not just an hour drive, but like into Orlando. And Orlando, it's one of those, it's a big city constantly under construction, and none of the roads go where they're supposed to. And so it's just a big pain in the ass.
Where does this fucking wall come from?
Right. Yeah, they're
in a dead end one way street.
They're in the middle of this thing called the I-4 Ultimate project, and they've been on it for years and years and years.
Just if it's uphill, you're gonna do up and away. So you're gonna roll the wheel away if you're gonna park on those streets. So if you slip out of gear, it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people do that here up front of my building because we're on a hill too.
Most useful thing I've ever learned in driver's ed was up and away, and I was like, oh, that's perfect.
That's good. I hadn't heard that before. I like it. Now I'll remember that. Yeah, you got to plop that clip in there. So the other groups in the area are in Tampa. Well, that's an hour in the other direction. So we were like really wanting to get involved in something, like I think we're all sort of talking about this more and more, that the idea of once you leave religion, then what do you have? You've lost community. Right. You've lost a whole peer group. Who brings you soup when you get sick? It's the church ladies. Like, you lose all of that stuff when you leave religion. And so I bitched about it enough that my wife said, well, when are you going to stop complaining and actually do something about it? And so we got some good friends together and set up a board and did it the right way, created our organization and filed for nonprofit status and all of that. And so now we are, I think our Facebook group is up to 325 now. We're still slowly like getting the word out and getting people in, but we do programs that like we have a couple of roadways that we've adopted that we clean up once a month. Nice. We have 3 programs that address food insecurity in the county. One of them is called Street Warriors, and that's all of these are in partnerships with other organizations. And so Street Warriors is partnered with a couple that are it's a faith-based organization, Street Warriors, and so we make hot meals and take them out to folks in the parks that that are living unsheltered, and we do that as sort of a chapter of the Street Warriors program. We do a weekends without hunger program that provides like groceries to some local schools where like Title I schools, right? And so these are in neighborhoods that are underserved, underprivileged. And so like the number of kids that they eat lunch at school on Friday and don't eat again until breakfast at school on Monday. And thankfully our school provides all of that stuff for free. But like the number of kids in that position is just, it'd break your heart. And so we have a program where we package up, like weekend groceries and deliver them each week during the school year.
That's awesome.
And then the kids can just pick them up on their way out on Friday, and then they've got some food for the weekend. And then the big program that we put together with the Unitarian Universalist Congregation, Red Tent Initiative, Rose Dynasty Foundation, Planned Parenthood, Southwest and Central Florida. There's a whole bunch of groups. Healthy Start. We found that food insecurity was such a big problem here to start with, and then the pandemic hit. So there are so many more people who are struggling with this, that we created a food pantry that we didn't want people to come to us because it's COVID times and we don't want your COVID. So we created a delivery system. And again, nice. 4th or 5th largest county in the state. It's a huge territory to cover. And we serve like 250 families at any given time. We have people that come and drive delivery routes. Like you get a list of up to 10 addresses that you go deliver to. And we try to keep that like close to your home area so that you're in your community helping your neighbors.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And people that can't access food pantries for one reason or another, that's a huge problem that needs addressing too. And so we don't play any of those games. We don't need to see your tax information. I don't need to know if you're employed. I don't care whether you're a citizen or not. Like, tell me you're hungry and I'll bring you some food. So we're trying to go out there and like do the good things because they're the good things to do, and we're helping people and making a difference. And the sidecar to that is, we're changing the perception of what people think of when they see the word atheist or think about what an atheist is and what we stand for, what we care about. And then we have a media project called Free Thought in Florida that we do, that I produce and host weekly on Friday nights, where we talk about things that are going on in Florida. The Florida legislative session was our big thing for the last few months that we've been, it's like a 60-day sprint here in Florida. So we spend a lot of time on that, but we bring in guests and talk about, things that are happening in the state. And
yes, we will come on.
Please.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Anytime.
Now, before we go, was there anything else you wanted to mention about that, or should we just do a quick little mention about some of the topics you do on your podcast?
I think that's it.
Just out there kicking ass and taking names.
That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. Well, again, the idea was like to create community and have a space for, for people to go. And if I could have, $1 for every time somebody has said like, holy shit, I thought I was the only atheist here.
Yeah.
And we hear that everywhere. It's not just here.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to get out there and do the things, do all the things.
Well, Sarah, if you want to talk about altruism within atheism, I think I'd be a good person to come on your show and have a little chat about that and drag this guy, because he's good like this too. This guy. Wait, no, there we go.
Whoa. Ah.
You're right there. By the way, hashtag coins.
I missed. There it is. I always lose my stinking mouse. I got more than one screen. I just lose it.
It's around here somewhere.
I'm just spinning it, just spinning the mouse, and it's down underneath something. I don't know. I need more screens.
Well, I say then we should jump into an after party and have some fun.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Just chill, Mikey. Right? First of all, Sarah, thank you again for being the guest of honor for tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure having you here. I've been looking forward to actually chatting with you. So once I, started, because I didn't know too much about you when we first started talking, I saw everything you were involved with. I'm like, wow, she's great. All right, this is going to be a great conversation. So I'm glad you decided to come on, and I had a great time chatting with you.
Yeah.
Mikey, thank you for doing the job that you do so awesomely all the time. Except
for when I sit in the right wrong meeting and like yell into the ether, stop.
Yeah, I screwed up today. What can I say? That's the first time for everything. But Mikey was gracious enough to reset up our after party, so we've got that. And Sarah, just so you know, their link is in the private chat. So, all right.
Awesome.
Anyone would like to be hanging out with us in the after party, let Mikey or myself know through Twitter or Facebook or whatever. If you have us on there, you can just send us a message and we'll give you a link and you can hop in here and hang out with us and Sarah. And don't forget that Randolph and myself are, by the way, there is a link to the after party down below. And also all the relevant links for Sarah are also down below. So don't forget to click on those and check some of the stuff that she does out, because it's fantastic. Anyway, so don't forget that Randolph and myself are starting up our own call-in show very, very soon. I know I say that all the time. Oh, only a couple months now, but yeah, it's coming. We're still building the damn fucking thing, but it's coming. Well, Randolph's mostly building. I helped a little bit, but I'm a slacker. So
you're supervising.
I'm supervising from here.
Correct.
Anyway, but it's called True North Talk. Yeah. And we'll be talking to people about just about anything, whatever you believe in. You got some weird conspiracy theories. It's great. Just we'll kind of steer away from politics, although I know they're going to be dragged in one way or another at some point, because it always seems to be that way. All that stuff you're not supposed to talk about when you're at your relative's house for dinner, that's what we'll be talking about. But anyways, you can tune in and head over to the channel and click the subscribe button on the True North Talk channel, so you'll get that launch date as soon as we go live. And you can come watch myself and Mikey here, who's been in a couple episodes on the revamped and relaunched Law and Prophets, which airs between Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience at 3 p.m. Central. So head over to the channel if you haven't already and subscribe, and you'll see my ugly mug and his ugly mug in there, and a few of the episodes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I said you had an ugly mug, Mikey. I'm really
sorry. Oh, I know. I'm not surprised.
Pronoun sheriff there. All right, and the last Saturday of every month, which is coming up this Saturday, myself and Seamus and Andy get together with a guest. And this week's guest will be Bionic Dance. So come on over and hang out with us. We do Atheist Drinking Out Loud, where we pretty much, native atheists, you're not first. Put first down in the comments. We just hang out and we talk about silly things and make fun of people and stuff, and it's fun. And we get pretty gooned. And I actually had a show scheduled for Saturday at 1 p.m. But if I had done that, this is Paul Camish, and he lives in England. And if I had done that show, then I wouldn't have been able to do the Atheist Drinking Out Loud. So I'm going to reschedule with Paul. So my show won't be happening this Saturday, but I will be doing the Atheist Drinking Out Loud. So come and hang out with us for there.
Yes. Good time there.
J.R. Cleet says, thank you, Sarah, for your show. Jaded Atheist, who I had on recently, said, great show. So got a lot of fan base going on here, Sarah.
Send me some hate mail. Oh, no, wait, don't do that.
How could anyone send you hate mail when you've got an Oscar the Grouch behind you?
You can send me mail at sarah@polkatheists.org. You can send hate mail to neil@polkatheists.org.
All hate mail can be sent to neil604atheist at gmail.
And my email's down below. So if you want to throw some fucking shit at me, you can do that there.
Good luck, right, guys. Good luck pissing him off. He's the chillest dude that ever lived.
I know. It's pretty hard to get me angry. Unless you're Dart Dawkins or a Tadpole. But anywho, that's it, guys. We're going to call this one a show in the books. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us. And we'll see you guys in the after party. There is a link below. Don't forget, you can click on that and head over there. We're going to take a short break, as I always like to go have a quick smoke and a pee and whatnot. So we'll see you over there shortly. And until next time, guys, like I always say at the end of these shows, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.